Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is 903 Sports. I am your host, Cameron Brown, joined by the boys, Mason Cudd, Hunter Shattuck, and Jeffrey Yeager. Another big week of sports. It is March. It is March Madness season, but we got to start with NFL. The NFL is king, as we all know. We'll get to some March Madness talk at the end of the pod, but what a chaotic week in the NFL, boys. Aaron Rodgers, out of nowhere, re-signs with the Packers. We don't know the extent of that deal. Apparently, it's a groundbreaking deal. The numbers that were reported were incorrect, so we're waiting to see that. And the Seahawks going into straight rebuild mode. They trade Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos for a haul. And then they cut all pro linebacker, Bobby Wagner, waive him. So the Seahawks going into tank mode. Huge week. Calvin Ridley suspended for next year for gambling. We'll get into that. Carson Wentz traded to the Washington Commanders. So a lot going on in the NFL. Hunter, we'll start with the Russell Wilson trade. Hunter, I'll let you start. Who won the trade? What is Seattle doing? And is Denver a Super Bowl contender? I'll let you jump into it.
Oh, okay. So who won the trade? I'll start there. There's a lot going on. So I'll kind of recap if that's all right. I'll kind of recap the deal. Obviously, Denver gets Russell Wilson and a fourth rounder this year. Seattle gets Drew Lock, Noah. Is it Fant? Is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yeah. Noah Fant.
Noah Fant.
Player.
Okay.
Not in.
Yeah, good player. Yeah, I had him in fantasy this year. Great player. And then Shelby Harris. Don't know much about Shelby Harris, going to be honest. They get 2 first rounders, and that's the next 2 years, 2 second rounders the next 2 years, and then a 5th rounder this year. So that's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks and 3 players for Russ and a 4th rounder. So Seattle's getting a ton. Like you said, they're rebuilding and they're going all in with, padding 4 picks over the next 2 years, first and second round. As far as who won the trade, though, man, you got to say Denver, right? I mean, they got their guy. They've been a quarterback short ever since Peyton retired. So you got to think Denver got the guy that they wanted and kind of a monkey off Elway's back because, he's had a hard time nailing a quarterback. And he's had some pressure on him the last couple of years he fell in love with Drew Lock, and Drew Lock really hadn't done anything in the NFL. And so, not that he did much in college, but, that's a different story. And as far as are they a Super Bowl contender, I'm not sold on that yet. I don't think, especially in their division, in the AFC, man, I wouldn't put them in my top 3 or 4 Super Bowl contenders for next year as of now.
I think Russ elevates them for sure. They got a lot to
Of course.
prove. They have a lot of good weapons. They have a top defense in the league. Got some good receiving weapons. They got a good young rookie, or was a rookie last year, Javonte Williams, running back. And I like their coach. They hired Nathaniel Hackett from the Packers. So I think a Super Bowl contender may be a stretch early. We'll have to see him play.
Competitive. They're competitive.
You got a first ballot Hall of Famer, Russell Wilson, as your quarterback. So
here we go with the first ballot Hall of Famer again.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Like it's candy.
Bro, he's a first ballot, no doubt.
But I agree, Hunter. The Broncos won the trade. They got the star. If you get the star, you're winning the trade. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go out and say I don't think Seattle got enough for Russell Wilson. Drew Lock's essentially useless. I mean, that's just a piece in the trade. Noah Fant's really the only player in the trade that sticks out to me. Seattle needed a tight end. They got a tight end.
I don't know.
They don't have a quarterback. And those first round picks are all going to be late first round picks from Denver. They're going to make the playoffs every year. They're going to be a high 20s pick.
That's true.
I mean, and who knows if that pick's going to work out. I think they could have got more. I think that could have been a blockbuster deal. I mean, they got quite a bit. But
so
they also gave up their last year's first round pick and this year's first round pick to the Jets for Jamal Adams. So it's not like they're loaded in first round picks.
So what would you say is fair value for Russ then? If you're saying that 2 firsts and 2 seconds, take out Drew Lock and Shelby Harris. So let's say Fant and 2 firsts and 2 seconds is not enough for Russ. What do you think is fair value?
I feel like they should have got a better player in the deal. If you're
I'm pretty sure I want to get in on this. I'm pretty sure the asking price for Deshaun Watson was like 4 first rounders.
Exactly.
That's absurd.
And Russell Wilson's way better than Deshaun.
I'd say they're about, kind of even.
Russell Wilson has been two Super Bowls and won one of them.
Okay, well, first of all, there's a difference between asking price for Deshaun and what Deshaun is actually worth. Those are 2 separate things.
I'm telling you, a superstar QB is worth whatever you want to offer. There's a handful of guys that are worth it. Rodgers, Wilson, Deshaun Watson, guys like that.
I I was about to say there's maybe 9 really, really, really good
Josh
NFL
Allen,
quarterbacks
Pat
in
Mahomes,
the world.
those tier QBs are worth a ton, and only 2 first and late first at that too. I mean, I like Yeg said I was going to mention Deshaun worth 4 first. I think they could have got 4 first for Russ. Maybe throw another player in there, another playmaker. They definitely could use another defensive playmaker. Seattle's defense was horrible last year.
Oh, so bad. Bottom five in the league.
It was awful.
How much of a factor? I mean, Russ has never played outside of Seattle. He's never played in a different system. Is there any fear that he won't be the same quarterback at all?
Not to me, because he's got that receiving core is really good over there. You got Cortland Sutton and you got Jerry Jeudy and good running back Javonte Williams, great defense. It'll be an adjustment for sure, but I think Russ can play anywhere. Cut up. I've been hogging here. I'll let you jump in.
Well, going back to what y'all were just talking about asking price, I don't know if y'all saw the Redskins or the Commanders.
The Commanders.
Yeah, they'll always be the Redskins. But anyways, they actually offered a better deal to Seattle, but they preferred to move him outside of the conference. So who knows? They haven't released what exactly the Commanders offered them, you know.
There you go.
But I mean, who's to say that they did offer him 4 first rounders or 3 and then maybe some better players or something. But honestly, going back to the trade overall, I think Seattle won the trade. I think Seattle got plenty for him. I think he's 33 right now. He'll be 34 going into next season. You know, he's already on the downhill, and him being in the same division as Justin Herbert, dude, they're not going to be right off the bat. To me, they're not a Super Bowl contender. They're going to be right there with Derek Carr and the Las Vegas Raiders, in my opinion. So I think Seattle got plenty. And Shelby Harris, y'all might not know about him, but he's a great defensive lineman.
Shelby Harris is a solid player. I don't know about
great.
And
he actually played for Seattle before he went to Denver. So he's going back there. And Noah Fant with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, dude. And even if Drew Lock has a horrible year, which is more than likely, they're one tank away from drafting Bryce Young, number 1.
But the Broncos went like 7-10 last year, and they had Drew Lock as their QB. Now you're putting in, I won't call him first ballot Hall of Famer. That's a trigger warning in this. But I'll call him Pro Bowl Russell Wilson.
There we go. He's a good quarterback.
That's a massive, massive upgrade.
No, yeah, I'm not saying they're not. And they're going to be a really good competitive team. But them being in the same division, playing those guys twice a year.
That is a factor.
Dude, I mean, and think about it. See how stacked that is? They're going to be in there for trying to get the wild card because they're not going to win that division.
That division will be brutal.
That's what I'm saying is, I mean, yeah, the Broncos did a major upgrade. Drew Lock was not the ticket at all. And yeah, I mean, they got some great young players on both sides of the ball. But I think Seattle, now that they let Bobby Wagner go, the only guy on that team, like roster or anything, is Pete Carroll from those great teams. So
he's not going to be there much longer.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying is that they are completely turning the cycle. And honestly, I think it's time. And they traded him when they could have got him at, I think, the most. They let Russell play for 2 more years, try and get what they got today when he's 35, 36. I don't think they could have got this.
I mean, it's not like those picks. Who knows if those guys will work out? They'll be like the 28th pick in the draft 2 years, and that's all they got.
Yeah, but if they're ready to throw in the rebuild, you don't want to start a rebuild with a 33-year-old quarterback, especially coming off an injury-plagued season.
Oh, I agree. They had to move Russ, and I knew that was coming. But I just, like I said, I feel like they could have got more for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought they got a pretty good compensation for just one player.
Man, if
Denver won the trade,
those QBs are worth so much, man.
I agree.
I'll put it this way. There are maybe 9, maybe 10 really, really, really good NFL quarterback talents in the world. And so
you got a chance.
And Russell Wilson's one of them. And when you got a chance to get one of them, the team that gets the star, that's the team that wins the trade. I mean, look at Philly trading for James Harden. They gave up so much. But they're like, what, 5-0, 6-0, him and Embiid ever since the trade?
Yeah, but you can't compare basketball to football. They're totally different. In football, one person can only do so much. And that's the
what
deal.
I'm saying. The thing is, again, Russell Wilson is a star. And it's not like Russell Wilson has been bad in Seattle the last couple of years. He's been actually really, really good. Like his QBR is still over 100. His completion percentage has been around 67 every year. His touchdown to interception ratio is like 4-1. Seattle has been letting Russ down. Like most of Russ's struggles have come from the fact that he doesn't have an offensive line and he had a broken finger. And Pete Carroll is 75. I'm gonna look at the new wave of coaches in the league. Shanahan, McVay, Zach Taylor, even McDermott. They're all young offensive guys. Like Pete Carroll's just outdated. I think, Russell Wilson's going to a team that's really, really stacked. And I'll give you another thing. The last two Super Bowl winners, Bucks and Rams, what did they do right before they won the Super Bowl the following season?
They went all in and got their QB.
They went all in and got a stud quarterback, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford. I remember there was a stat that came out. There was a stat that came out in Tampa Bay that they were top 5 in everything on offense besides quarterback play before Tom Brady got there. All they were missing was a quarterback. Same thing with the Rams. Studs, but Goff just couldn't get them over the hump. I think Denver is an automatic Super Bowl contender after this.
So my thing, when I'm talking about how I wouldn't give that much for Russ, I'm not dogging Russell Wilson in that. I'm saying that football is not a game where you can just go all out, bring in one player, and he changes everything. And if
the Rams brought in multiple players,
that's my point. I have such a hard time believing that Russell Wilson, who's a very good quarterback, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Tom Brady, where he can come in and he actually could single-handedly carry the team. I mean, that's just so hard to do in football. And so I can't imagine giving, we were talking about 4 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. That is 4 years without a first-round pick for a quarterback, for 1 out of 22.
Most important on the field, though.
1 out of 22. I don't care how important the guy is. That's no first-round picks for 4 years. That's insane.
What you're saying about the Broncos is it's not like this is the Jets or the Lions.
Yeah.
Like the Broncos were a mediocre team. They're a quarterback away, and now they got the quarterback. So I think that elevates them into.
I still think they won the trade because they did get the piece. Yeah. However, it better work out because they gave up a lot to get him.
Yeah, I now that I agree with. But I will say the one thing holding them back is that division. You got to deal with Herbert, Mahomes, and the Raiders are solid too. Playoff team last year. So those guys are going to beat each other up. And the rest of the AFC, we've talked about on every pod about how low to the AFC is a quarterback and with teams there. Mm-hmm. So that's the one thing holding the Broncos back. And so I want to jump into Rodgers a little bit. I personally think that the Broncos were all in on getting Rodgers, and they got wind of. I think they were negotiating with Seattle for Wilson, and they were really wanting Rodgers, and they got wind Rodgers took the Green Bay. So like, okay, we'll take Russell Wilson. You go from A+ to A. I mean, you're perfectly fine with either of those QBs. So my thing is, who's in a better spot right now? Would you rather be the Packers right now with Rodgers, or would you rather be the Broncos with Russell Wilson?
You want me to get into this?
Go ahead.
Broncos with Russell Wilson, and it's not even close.
No, it's close.
Time out.
It's not. It is not even.
No,
close.
It's close.
No,
hold on, Cam. Hold on, Jaeger. Hold on.
Green Bay. I'm going to finish what I'm saying.
I got to ask a question.
Signing. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Is this what is the better team now, or who would we rather have? I think that could be 2 different questions.
Who would you rather be? What team would you rather be right now? Would you rather be?
I would rather
that doesn't help me.
The Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I think the Broncos might be the better team, but I'd still rather have Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback. What are we arguing about here? I want to get it. I want to make that clear before we get into this.
Not the QB. What team situation would you rather be?
Well, I think we're all going to agree there.
That's what we're talking about, the quarterback.
So let's do this. If you're John Elway, who would you have rather had?
Aaron
Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson?
One other guy. Aaron Rodgers, no doubt about it.
Jaeger I think Jaeger would disagree.
He's won the MVP the last 2 years, and he didn't even play the season last year.
I literally don't care.
He's the best shooter in the world.
All right, Yeager,
listen,
the floor is yours. Give us your argument.
No. I do not hate Aaron Rodgers. I am fed up with the fact that he acts like a child. But
that's because you like him.
That doesn't have any bias with who I would rather have on the team.
He's won the MVP the last 2 years. And that's a big deal. Russ wasn't even a Pro Bowler.
Kirk Cousins was a Pro Bowler.
He broke his finger.
Oh,
come on. Russell Wilson broke his finger.
Yeager, what's your argument? Let's hear it.
Look, the thing is, and I have a lot of really, really good reasons. I would 100% rather have Russell Wilson. If I'm the Broncos today, I am, like I said in the chat earlier, I am taking all my mites and donating them as tithing and thanking the heavens that we got Russell Wilson and that Aaron Rodgers decided to stay in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, granted, as talented as he is, this has nothing to do with his talent. He's a phenomenal quarterback, but he is not a guy that I want leading a team. Aaron Rodgers is like a semi sports, like just
legend,
team alpha.
He is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Can I say first ballot Hall of Famer for Aaron Rodgers? Is that allowed?
He is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes, he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and that is not my point. He is like an alpha control semi-narcissist. And the thing about people that are like that is they love to be in control. Aaron Rodgers, he was never going to leave Green Bay. Green Bay loves him. They'll do whatever they say. Dude, Aaron Rodgers, ever since he won the Super Bowl, he is 7-9 in the postseason.
But
7-9
every single year, and wins the division every single year.
Okay. And what did he do this past season? He got the number one seed.
Won the division. He won the MVP.
And he lost to Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers at home in Lambeau.
Where was Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson was watching at home.
You want to know something?
5-11 Seahawks.
Russell Wilson has as many Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers does. In fact, he's been to twice as many Super Bowls as Aaron Rodgers has.
He also played on the Seahawks, who had one of the best defenses of our generation. That's a fact.
And he also played in the toughest division in football for years.
Who?
Seahawks, Cardinals, Rams, 49ers. Yeah. You're trying to tell me the last 3 years that hasn't been a gauntlet?
Yeah, it has.
Well, who does Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers and the Cowboys are the same in that they get 6 free wins every single.
That is foolish.
Yeah, none of these things you're saying.
I hope you just lost signal and just got cut out. That's terrible, Yay.
None of those things you just said.
That is not. They get
all opinions. All opinions.
The Packers get 6 free wins every year. 2 versus Minnesota, 2 versus Chicago, and 2 versus Detroit.
Do you ever think that maybe they get those wins free because they have the best quarterback in the National Football League?
Hey, those Vikings games are wars.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, for sure.
They are. Look at them.
You're telling me, really, Cud? Every time Kirk Cousins get on the TV, you don't look at him and say, "Man, what a schmuck."
I thought Kirk Cousins is your boy. You're on this pod saying Kirk Cousins is a legend.
I'm talking about those.
Kirk Cousins is a very solid quarterback.
Trash.
But again, here's another thing. Listen to this.
So bad.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers is a great leader.
That's fair.
I think he's an all-time talent. I don't think he's not the type of guy. Like, listen, think about it this way. If we're going to play one backyard game, or like a Turkey Bowl tournament, and you've got Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson and you need to play 2, maybe 3 games, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers every time. But if you need a guy that's going to come in to a franchise like the Broncos that have been dealing with quarterback issues for a couple of years and give them hope, give them a reason to believe, really round up the team and make it feel like a unit, I think Russell Wilson is your guy. No one's ever said a bad word about him. He is an outstanding person, and he's one of the nicest dudes. Dude, you listen to him talk in interviews, it's like this guy is a saint. And Aaron Rodgers is like on podcasts calling out people. Aaron Rodgers might as well be the KD of the NFL with no burner account on Twitter.
Hold on.
And so I think
I want to say something to that. So I think there's this misconception here that everybody, especially in sports media, looks at the quarterback like they need to be the leader of the team. There are 22 other guys out there on the field. And just because you play quarterback doesn't mean that you need to be the guy that everybody looks to for leadership. I mean, there are a bunch of other.
You absolutely do.
After the Super Bowl, everybody gave credit to Aaron Donald. All the teammates talked about Aaron Donald. Nobody was talking about how Matthew Stafford was the leader of the team. Everybody was talking about how Aaron Donald was the leader of the team. It doesn't have to be the quarterback to be the leader. I totally get your point. I wouldn't want Aaron Rodgers being a leader, but I would want him being my quarterback. And those are two different things. You're not asking him to be head coach. You're not asking him to be the figurehead of the team, of the franchise. You just need him to come in and play quarterback. And I think you'd be foolish to take Russell Wilson, who I agree is a better leader from what I can tell.
It's no knock against Russell.
Exactly. That's like saying I'd rather have a steak than a hamburger. I love hamburgers, love them, but I'd take a steak over a hamburger anytime. That's,
I love that analogy there, Hunter. Very solid.
So
no, I think
one of those.
Exactly. I'll take Russ. I'll take Rodgers. Great. But if I get to choose between the two, I'm taking Rodgers.
And then you got the Jets, and we get tofu.
That's right.
No, but I think I would 100% rather have Russell Wilson. I think he's a winner. I think he's a leader, and I think he is a phenomenal quarterback. And I think he's going to unite guys. Another thing I don't like about Aaron Rodgers is I think Aaron Rodgers is the type, if he doesn't like the way the season's going or he doesn't like the way a game is being played, he's just kind of like,
Never win 13 games.
Yeah, I don't know if you may be right, but we've never seen it because there's never been a season where he's in charge where things don't go well because he's really good at football. Like that's how that works.
And this is Hunter Shattuck, the biggest Aaron Rodgers hater out there.
I can't stand the guy, Yeager. I hate him. But he's unbelievable at playing quarterback.
He's one of the most talented QB, if not the most talented QB I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Again,
it's effort.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I think Aaron Rodgers is uber talented, but I think Russell Wilson is a much better fit for that organization than Aaron Rodgers would ever be.
Well, I want to move on from that because I think I got another thing that's going to get pretty heated in here that we discussed earlier today. So my favorite quarterback of all time, Carson Wentz, was traded to the Washington Commanders, for, I believe, what was it, Hunter? He got for 2 third-round picks is what he was traded for.
Yeah, 2/3. One of those thirds could turn into a second if he plays a certain number of snaps.
70%.
Yeah, 70%. So there's a second rounder for sure, 2/3, and one of those thirds could turn into a second.
So I just want to go on record and say, I've already tweeted it today and we've talked about it, but the Redskins, damn you, the Commanders
swear jar
got no better today with Carson.
That is the worst take I have ever heard.
Let me finish. Taylor Heineke is an average NFL quarterback. He's a backup NFL quarterback. Carson Wentz is a starting NFL QB, but he doesn't win. He loses everywhere he goes. We're talking about how you don't like leaders and all that. Yay. Carson Wentz is the same way, and he's never won anything. The Eagles won their only Super Bowl when Wentz was on the shelf. Now, he played about 10 games that year and was having an MVP season. We haven't seen it ever since
you can't
then.
Just hand wave that.
The Colts had 7 Pro Bowlers on their team this year. They had the best running back in the NFL, and they had a top 3 defense in the NFL, if not the best defense in the NFL. And how many playoff games did they play in? 0, because Wentz turned the ball over 4 times against the Jaguars last game of the season. In the one game, they needed him to be somebody, and they got smoked. He's a loser. He's a locker room cancer. People don't get along with him. And now he's going to the Commanders, who got no better. You know what the Vegas odds were before the season started this year for the Commanders to win the Super Bowl?
Give it to me.
Plus 5,000. Or no, 5,000. You know what it is after they got Carson Wentz? Plus 5,000. Carson Wentz effect right there for you. The guy's not going to change anything. And the
All
Colts gave up on him after one season.
All
He's
right.
a loser.
Here's the deal. Before we get into this, I'm going to do the same thing as we did last time. I'm going to define the argument. Okay. I'm about to defend Carson Wentz. I don't like Carson Wentz, but the argument is that the Commanders did not get any better.
They did not get it.
So we're going Carson Wentz versus Heineke.
Lateral move.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, if you're going to just dumb it all the way down to that, yes, Carson Wentz is
That's
better.
what you said.
But they did not get any better.
Okay,
They might have gone from 6-11 to 7-10.
That's better.
It's still trash.
Yeah.
I know 7 wins is a lot for your Jets, Cam, but 7 wins is better than 6.
Let me tell you this: we'll have a better record than the Commanders this year. I'll take that. After I win a car from Cud off of Tennessee beating Bama, I'll put my car again on it. I'll put MC's car. I'll put Melissa's car after I won that on the Jets.
Let's do this. I'm going to go blind resume. 2021 statistics. Okay. 2 quarterbacks. Okay. 3,419 yards versus, or let's just do it this way. 3,400 yards, 20 TDs, 15 picks, and 39.9 QBR. Okay. Next quarterback, 3,500 yards, 27 TDs, 7 picks, 54.7 QBR, which is the 9th in the NFL. Do those quarterbacks sound similar?
Also played behind the best offensive line in the league, had the best running back in the league, had a great coaching staff, and the best defense. Cud could have thrown passes behind that offensive line.
And how many fumbles did Carson Wentz have?
That's not relevant.
He had 1,000 in the last game against the Jaguars.
So you're going to sit there and you're going to keep a serious face and you're going to tell me that if you're Washington, not the Redskins, the Commanders.
We're going to get canceled.
If you're the Commanders, you would have said, hey, no, we don't need Carson Wentz. We're good with Heineke.
No, I would have tried them. I would have drafted a QB like I thought they were, or made another move.
You'd rather have Pickett.
I'd rather have a draft pick over Heineke. Yes, I would. I leave Heineke.
What about over Wentz? Would you rather have Kenny Pickett or Carson Wentz?
I'd rather have any QB you could possibly name over Carson Wentz.
But not Heineke?
Mills over Carson Wentz. He's a loser. No one likes him.
This is like the same thing Yeager was just saying. You're basing your argument on these things that can't be defined. Like he's not a leader. He's a loser.
Everything I needed to know about Carson Wentz was in this season. This year with the Colts.
Everything I said about Aaron Rodgers is statistically backed.
That he's not a good leader? You can't back that up with statistics.
Yeah. You said nothing but opinions.
No, I said Aaron. I said I think Russell Wilson is a great leader, and Aaron Rodgers loses in the playoffs.
Carson Wentz isn't in the playoffs, and he's hurt for half the season.
Neither does Heineke.
That's another thing. But no, I'm not saying Heineke's great. That's not my point. I'm saying the Commanders did not get better. There were other options to do at QB.
They did not become a Super Bowl contender. You're correct.
What is better to you?
Between what? Their situation now with Heineke, I would have moved on. I would have drafted a QB or tried to find somebody else. I'll take.
What did they go? 6-11? What did they go? 6-11, 7-10?
I think 7-10.
6-11, something like that.
I bet they go 9-8.
No shot. No way.
Absolutely. You want to know why? Because I think they're going to win 4 times against Philly twice.
No.
The Giants twice.
Philly is in a much better situation than the Commanders.
Oh, really? You think so?
Absolutely not.
They just made the playoffs.
So?
What do you mean so? That doesn't make any sense.
The Raiders just made the playoffs. Would you consider them in a great spot where they're at?
They're building something. That's for dang sure.
Yeah. They're building the population of the federal prisons in Las Vegas is what they're building.
Still, man. And plus, they're in a way bit harder division than anybody else. So that says a lot to make the playoffs.
Beside the point. The Commanders are not. They have a great defense, and I love Ron Rivera, and I like Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson. They've got.
So let's do this.
There, but they don't have a quarterback, and they did not get better with Carson Wentz.
What is a better football team? The Commanders with Taylor Heineke, or the Commanders with Carson Wentz? What is a better football team?
One team better with the Commanders with Carson Wentz.
Okay, so they got better. I rest my case.
No, that's not getting better. They're still trash.
Yeah, one game.
No, listen.
Nobody's saying they became good.
No.
I mean,
They
hell.
did not. That is not an improvement in the NFL from winning an extra.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
You can't
No.
say they didn't get better, admit they got better, and say that's not getting better.
They're still not a playoff team. They're still not relevant. They won one extra game because, obviously Carson Wentz is a little bit more talented than Taylor Heineke.
Okay, there we go. Now we're in agreement. He's not a good quarterback. He's not going to go out and win you playoff games.
Quarterback. Taylor Heineke's a C- quarterback. Congratulations. You just gave up 2 draft picks for the same guy you essentially already have.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Have mercy.
I don't know if I to call him the same guy as Taylor Heineke. I think that's a little harsh.
I don't see anything in Carson Wentz. I've never seen anything in Carson Wentz. When everyone thought Carson Wentz was the next big thing, I was on the Dak argument when it was Carson versus Dak on every sports show in the world, and was like, "Oh yeah, Carson Wentz." I never saw anything Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz was the MVP favorite until he blew out his knee.
When Nick Foles won the Super Bowl with Philly, they should have traded Carson Wentz immediately and stuck with Nick Foles.
Yeah, because Nick Foles has had such a great career since then.
He had something going.
Hey, Nick Foles is a winner.
And guess who's not? Carson Wentz.
Nick Foles is not.
Nick Foles, yes, he is.
He was a winner once.
Champion.
He was a winner that one season.
Yeah.
He
won 3 games.
when people rag on Nick Foles. He has been so underappreciated. The following season, Carson Wentz got hurt yet again, and Nick Foles was leading them to win. And if Alshon Jeffrey knew how to catch a ball, they would have won that game. Nick Foles was driving them down the field, and I stand by that.
There's a reason that Nick Foles has never been able to hold down a starting job, okay? It's not bad luck. It's not because coaches don't like him. It's just because he's flat out not a great quarterback. And that's just
really, though.
He was for a short period of time, very short. And the flip side of that coin is there's a reason that people keep giving Carson Wentz a chance, and it's because he is at least a decent quarterback. At least a decent quarterback.
Talent alone, but he ain't done nothing with it. I will take any starting quarterback. I want this on record, and then we'll move on. I will take any starting quarterback right now in the NFL for all 31 other teams over Carson Wentz. All of them.
Really?
Every last one of them.
You take Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones, no doubt about it. Davis Mills, Sam Ellinger,
Davis Mills,
Zach Wilson, all your bottom feeder NFL quarterbacks. Jimmy Garoppolo, all of them over Carson Wentz.
Carson disrespect Jimmy.
He's not a locker room guy, and he doesn't win games. That's 3 disaster for a recipe. And he's what, 28, 29 now? It's not like
he
22.
His TD to interception ratio there was 27-7. Do you know how many teams would kill for a QB who could go 27-7?
How many playoff games did he play in this year?
You just said
for a team, but listen, for a team that had 7 Pro Bowlers, the best running back in the league, and probably the best defense in the league,
and best
O-line. NFL quarterback is taking that team to the playoffs. Except for Cancer Carson.
You just said you'd take him over any bottom feeder quarterback in the NFL, and I said he just threw for 27 touchdowns and 7 picks. And how many of those bottom feeder quarterbacks did that?
That's irrelevant. That's a different situation. Completely different situation. You put any of those QBs in that situation, it's all about situation in the NFL.
Yeah.
Then why do we keep stats? Why do we compare stats? Why do we compare yards and touchdowns and things like that? If they're all different situations, is it just all for nothing? Like, they have to mean something.
Different teams are set up for success.
Yeah. That's all for stats is for like MVP voting and all that stuff for good football teams. The Texans have nothing. Who's Davis Mills throwing the ball to? Who's Daniel Jones playing with in the Giants? Who's Zach Barkley? Bums.
He hadn't played a game since I was in high school.
Yeah, Carson Wentz is hurt every year.
Yeah. I mean, to me, what I have to say on the Carson Wentz deal is literally the Colts said this, and I quote, is that they didn't like his leadership skills.
Yeah, nobody
and they didn't like his reckless behavior. After one season, and Jeff, you were literally just wearing out how Russell Wilson is just a great leader of men, and
Rodgers can get away with that because
he's going to turn these guys. He's going to do great things for these young kids. The quarterback is supposed to be your best player on the team, and naturally, he's going to be your leader of the team. And if your quarterback is not the leader of the team, I mean, what are they doing? I mean,
that's just not true.
No, it is true. That's what the Colts said today. is that he is not a leader.
Now, he may not. I'm not saying he is a leader, but I'm saying it's not true that the quarterback has to be the leader.
And if you're not, you better win football games.
I said more times out of however many, the quarterback is the leader of the ball team. That's from middle school to freaking NFL. He is your best
quarterback is the leader.
Yes, the quarterback is the leader, period. And not that there can't be other great leaders on the team. I mean, obviously.
Again, I want to be clear. I do not think Carson Wentz is a good quarterback. I think he is slightly below average NFL quarterback, which is significantly better than Taylor Heineke. That's my point. The Commanders are better with Carson Wentz than they were with Taylor Heineke.
They will be watching playoffs like 90% of the rest of the league.
But it's not, did they make the playoffs? No. Okay, they didn't get any better. That's not how that works. If the Jets go 0-16 one year and then they go 5-12 the next year, did they get better? Yes. Did they make the playoffs? No. It's possible to get better without making the playoffs.
The Commanders were not the Jets last year. They were a mediocre team, just like the Broncos. They're going to be the same as they were last year.
You're gonna make me want
Taylor
to
Heineke's going to play just as many games as Wentz is this year. Wentz is going to be hurt for half of them.
Yes. Hey, no, listen. I will put it on record right now. If Wentz plays all 17 games, they'll go 9-8.
No shot.
He's not playing.
Absolutely.
He's not playing.
I'll sign on to that. I'll co-sign that take, Yeager.
No
chance. If Wentz plays every game, they go over 500.
Absolutely. No, he gets to play 6 games against Dallas, Philly, and New York Giants.
Yeah, and I bet you he
wins. I bet you he wins at least 3 of them, if not 4 of those games.
3 is the ceiling.
I bet you he wins 3 or 4 of those games.
He's already
out of the other 11.
They're starting 0-3. You're losing twice to Dallas and then at Philly 1. So you got to sweep the Giants.
I would not count them to get beat by Dallas twice automatically.
That's because you hate Dallas.
Yeah. Okay, we got to move on.
No problem with Dallas.
We got to move on. We're running out of time. I want to touch on one more thing in the NFL, and then we'll get on some hoops talk. So Calvin Ridley suspended for the season. Every one of us in here has dabbled on a wager every now and then. He's suspended for the year for gambling on games while he was away from the team. I don't know the exact details. No one really does. It's rumored he was gambling on Falcons games, and it was a max amount of $1,500 that he gambled. I mean, if you're Calvin Ridley, 1, how in the hell do you get caught? And 2, what are you doing, man? You just cost yourself $11 million in the bank for a $1,500 wager or whatever it is. Be smarter than that. I mean, come on. But also, at the end of the day, the NFL suspensions just makes no sense to me. When it came out that Ray Rice, that what he did a few years ago when he assaulted his wife in the elevator, before the video came out to the public, he was suspended for 2 games. And Roger Goodell saw that tape, and that was a suspension. 2 games. And you're dishing out a full season for Calvin Ridley for throwing a couple $100 on the Falcons when he's away from the game? I mean, it just doesn't sit right with me. And I don't want to get all deep and everything, but I don't like Roger Goodell just like I don't like Rob Manfred. It just seems pretty hypocritical from the league for me. But if nobody else has we can move on to some hoops. Oh my gosh, Virginia Tech just hit a 3 at the buzzer to beat Clemson to stay alive.
No way.
Yeah. Oh, this is March. My goodness. All right. Anyway, so anybody got any thoughts on Calvin Ridley before we move on?
I have some thoughts.
I do.
Go ahead, Yeager.
I have some thoughts. Cameron Brown.
Jeffrey Yeager.
Listen, gambling deserves a full year suspension, and I'll tell you why. Now, listen, I want to make it very clear. I do not in any way condone or even slightly think that assaulting your wife is even in the least bit acceptable, because it's not. It's just wrong, right? So it was 2 games. And do I think it should have been more? Absolutely. Because you just can't do stuff like that. But the thing about gambling, whether it was $1,500 or $15,000, is the fact that if, say it was a 1-game suspension for gambling on a game, all of a sudden players might think, hey, if I bet this amount of money and I know the outcome or I know what's going to happen today, and I bet this amount of money, I could make more than what my game check is going to be, right? Or I could give it to my buddy and he could make, X amount, or I could throw this and that. If gambling is not brought down with just the utmost, like highest punishment, you could ruin the integrity of the game. I mean, aren't they keeping Pete? Isn't it like Pete Ross or something like that? They're keeping him out of the MLB.
Whoa, Pete Ross. What are we doing?
I got one thought on this, and then I'll let y'all jump in.
Did I get that name wrong? I'm pretty sure that's his name, right?
Pete Rose, MLB.
Pete Rose. Aren't they keeping him out of the Hall of Fame because
he's
of gambling
banned
stuff?
in the MLB forever for gambling on games, and apparently that was a lot different than Ridley's situation. I just want to say,
well, no, it is
the NFL
not.
cannot take this. They cannot take this gambling stance, and everybody knows that Brownie loves to gamble. They cannot take this gambling stance and then have every commercial that you watch for an NFL game. DraftKings, FanDuel, Sportsbook. They're partnered with every game.
That's where you're wrong.
They absolutely
can't take this stance and then just Ridley for it.
No, listen. Yes, they can, bro. There are signs everywhere in NFL locker rooms, in practice facilities that says, "Do not gamble on the sport." You cannot gamble as a player. You cannot gamble on the NFL. NFL players, they can gamble on March Madness. They can gamble on hockey. They can gamble on the NBA. They can gamble on any sport alive. They could gamble on women's cricket, amateur cricket. But as long as it's not the NFL, right? They could gamble on Little League World Series baseball, China versus the United States, but they cannot gamble on NFL games. And the reason is because it is to protect the integrity of the league. You don't want guys. Imagine, the thing is, Calvin Ridley, people aren't making it. It's not as big of a deal, or people are saying he's overreacting because he's a wide receiver. Imagine if the report came out and it said, hey, an Atlanta Falcons player was caught gambling on games. What would people say if it was Matt Ryan, the quarterback, was caught betting on his own team?
Or the coach?
Think about the Dolphins situation where the owner went to Brian Flores and says, hey, I will pay you $100,000 a game.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
Why is that any different?
It's way different. He is literally giving money to throw the game. Calvin Ridley probably bet $100 on the Falcons to win the game.
What if he had bet more? What if he had bet more?
Doesn't matter. He's not even with the team. He's not even playing.
You can't change the outcome.
He's an idiot for what he did. I mean, that's just dumb. But I don't. The integrity of the game. He's put a couple $100 on his team to win.
Bro, you don't.
So hold on.
It's not about the amount of money. It's about the principle of what's going on.
But he's not even with the team.
So that's where it's different.
That's what they say.
Had he suited up, would you feel differently?
I'm not excusing what he did at all.
Sounds like you are.
It's not like he had probably any inside information. He's not even. He's in another part of the country.
Okay, so hold on.
Insider information. He's a member of the starting.
That's team. Not with the team.
Yeah. He quit like week 5.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I haven't really played 4 games this year.
Probably because he got caught gambling.
No.
I mean, he did say he had to step away from personal reasons. There's a chance he got busted.
He stepped away for mental health issues. You know how many times a random report has come out where someone steps away because of something that's like, that is so random.
But we
and
don't
then you
know
find
that.
out 2 months later, it's something that totally makes sense.
Yeah, that happens all the time where somebody's cousin passes away and they miss the next 5 games. What do you
Right, hang on. I want to say something.
Do you not remember, like, there are so many things where all of a sudden, like, owners or GMs or some part of the organization, they're like, yeah, I'm stepping back. For example, Derek Jeter. Why on earth did he just step down as part of the what?
I got a question. I'll let Hunter jump in. Where are you?
But what I'm saying is people saying,
how long have you been in that car?
I don't know. So, but what I'm saying is, listen, how many times have you seen someone step away because within the organization, something came to light and they said, you have to step away before this goes public while we figure out how to deal with this.
We gotta move on. Hunter, I want to get your last thoughts. We gotta get some basketball talk.
Oh,
okay. The thing about you brought up the Ray Rice situation, and the discrepancy is terrible there.
Really bad timing for Virginia Tech to hit a buzzer beater when I'm talking about the Ray Rice situation, by the way. I want to apologize for my actions.
The solution is not let's punish gambling less. The solution is let's take domestic violence more seriously. Okay, so I want to clear that up. You can't say
clear your suspensions up. Get some kind of guidelines here.
Correct. Now
you can't pick and choose what morals you want to hammer harder on. It's all bad.
And I agree with you. But the thing is, gambling. Say Calvin Ridley starts getting away with it, or it gets real bad, and a bunch of people start doing it, and they start making a lot of money off of it. Something like that can become a problem very quick. At the same time, I don't think something like assaulting your wife becomes a league-wide issue because one person does it. Like, generally speaking, everyone's going to be like, hey, you can't knock out your wife. You can't hit a woman.
Well, right? It's also illegal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Against the law.
Yes, exactly. And so what I'm saying is gambling is one of those things where it's like, hey, it's legal. We can find a way to justify it. And the league has to be like, no. There can be no even slight chance that the integrity of the league gets compromised. Because I'm telling you right now, the minute gambling becomes a problem within the NFL by NFL players, the whole sport is no one's going to take it seriously. That's why the steroids thing was so big with Major League Baseball. Everyone's like, does Barry Bonds, does his home runs even count? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, they do count. That's another discussion. Hunter, go ahead and finish the thought. We got to move on.
We don't need to relitigate.
I got something after Hunter.
Go ahead, Cud. Finish it up.
Okay, first of all, Jeff, you're a goob for not knowing who Pete Rose is. Clown.
Wait, my bad. You know what? My bad. I was thinking of Bob Ross.
Yeah. Oh,
who the heck is Bob Ross?
Why did you even say that?
A painter.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding.
This is 903 Arts and Crafts.
Yeah.
But so
I love arts and crafts.
I agree that Jeff is right that if they let it slide on a slight penalty, and if the gambling became an internal problem, then no one would take the NFL seriously, and that would ruin the league. And
could you imagine how much revenue the NFL would lose if people are like, it does not matter what I do because the game could be totally rigged?
Yeah, but as far as looking at it as the comparison of penalties and other actions in the league, Ray Rice got literally done forever. Like not even like 6 months later, Joe Mixon hit this woman in Taco Bell harder than I've ever seen in a UFC fight. He got suspended 6 games. The same thing right after it, and he's been in the Pro Bowl and he's doing fine. That is ridiculous. Same thing, Kareem Hunt. He kicks a girl while she's already on the ground. Not when it's okay to kick her when she's not on the ground, but I
shouldn't laugh at that.
And he got 6 games. So I mean,
all about how much the league values you as a talent.
All I'm saying
Rice was at the back end of his career when that happened.
I don't know. He was still cold.
That doesn't mean we don't need to punish gambling. That just means we need to take domestic violence more seriously. That's all I'm saying.
It needs to be, like Cameron said, there needs to be a guideline. Okay, you do this, you get this, period.
It just seems like they just pick a number out of a hat for these suspensions to me.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think we can all agree with that. Let's move along.
No doubt about it. All right, so I want to do. We got to do this really quick. So we're going to wrap up football talk, but I want to do my top 5. We talk about the AFC QBs all the time, so I want to wrap this up officially with Russell Wilson now in the AFC. Top 5 AFC QBs going into this season. It's really close to me. So my top 5, start with 5. I'm going to go Justin Herbert 5, Russell Wilson 4, Josh Allen 3, Pat Mahomes 2, and Joey B number 1. That's my top.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Hunter, go ahead.
All right. Herbert 5. I have Burrow at 4.
I really don't have an argument. I mean, it was tough. I went with the
and Lamar's not even on my list. And
Lamar's at 6.
I would love to have Lamar Jackson as quarterback of my team. I mean, that's how good the quarterbacks are in the AFC. I got Russell Wilson at 3, Josh Allen at 2, Pat at 1. But Pat's the only one I feel strongly about. I still feel that he is the class of the AFC, and everybody else is a step below him until proven otherwise. But all the other guys, you can throw them in a hat, and I'd be happy with any of them.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't go wrong with any of them. Go ahead and give your 5.
Okay, my 5, my 5 from 5 to 1 is Joe Burrow at 5, Russ at 4, and I got Justin Herbert at 3, Pat at 2,
Wow.
and Josh Allen at 1.
Wow.
How about
Yep.
that?
Herbert with some love on Cudless. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the way I did this and the way I see it is if you were to take every quarterback in the AFC and give them the Chiefs offense, how good
Goes
would
back
each
to my
one
whole
be?
point about
Right?
Carson Wentz in situations. Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. Like
That's
the
why
thing
Pat
is, so
wasn't my number 1.
number 5 is Derek Carr.
Yeah, I'm
Which
about to
I
kick you
think-
off the spot.
No,
That's
which
awful.
I think
Yeah,
No,
I'm
listen.
literally about to kick you off the spot.
really who. Okay, whatever. I think Derek Carr is the 5th best quarterback in the AFC.
You were
With
just
everything he
trashing the
does-
Raiders.
I think Derek Carr is a great quarterback, and I think he did a lot with that organization. But the organization is chaos right now, and that's what I was talking about. They're not building anything; it's straight chaos.
Let's
But
hear
Derek
the
Carr
other-
made the most of it. He got him to the playoffs.
Let's hear
Derek
the
Carr
other
did
4.
amazing things with the Raiders this year.
Let's hear the other 4.
This time next year, I do think Justin Herbert will pass him up and be in the top 5. I think Justin Herbert's just a little too reckless. Justin Herbert is my 6. He's one out.
That's
right?
fair. That's fair.
I think Justin Herbert is still in, youngin mode where he's slanging the ball.
I agree.
And he,
100%.
once he dials it in a little bit and gets the errors taken care of.
That's why the
He'll
Chargers
be in.
lose games that they're not supposed to lose. That's why they made the playoffs.
Exactly. And it's why
That
the Raiders
OD.
won games that they were
There are a
supposed to
lot
get
of other guys
blown
I'd
out.
have gone with over Derek Carr, though.
Okay. Derek Carr is 5. Number 4 is Russell Wilson.
Okay.
Russell Wilson's all-time. Number 3 is Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is amazing. And if he got put in the Chiefs offense, I think, it would just be a nightmare for people.
I agree.
Number two, I got Pat Mahomes. And number 1, I have Josh Allen.
Wow, giving
And
Josh.
here's I got Josh over Pat. And it's no disrespect to Pat. And for a couple of reasons. Is Josh Allen was so-so as a quarterback, and the team was this and that, and he would barely make the playoffs, or he was kind of super reckless. And then he got Stephon Diggs, and all of a sudden, bang, bang, bang! They're in the AFC Championship. They should have been in the AFC Championship this past playoffs. Like all of a sudden, could you imagine Josh Allen with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and all those guys, Robinson, dude? With Sammy Watkins a few years ago, it would be disgusting because Josh Allen is bigger than Pat. I think he's a little faster than Pat, if I'm not mistaken.
Much faster.
And he's got just as good of an arm as Pat Mahomes, if not can rocket it a few yards further. Like Josh Allen is just a monster. And I think, like I said, the Stephon Diggs evidence is evidence of the fact that if you switch offenses and you put Pat on the Bills and Josh Allen on the Chiefs, I think I would take the Chiefs to win the AFC every single year for the rest of Josh Allen's career.
Yeah, I only put Pat ahead of Josh because Pat's beaten Josh 2 years in a row. That was my only deciding factor. I think they're both unreal. But all right, I want to move on. Well, I want to do Cuds. Who the hell are you? Then we'll jump into some hoops talk before we close it out. Cud, who's the nominee this week?
All right, this week, who the hell are you is the Seattle Seahawks. Not for anything about Russell Wilson, for cutting Bobby Wagner.
Yeah.
The guy played for you for 10 years. He's a first ballot Hall of Fame linebacker. And when you look back at how great the Legion of Boom and all that was, he was their leader. He was the one calling the plays. The secondary was great. The D-line was great. But who communicated all that and ran that defense? Bobby Wagner. He played 10 years for them since he got drafted out of Utah State, and they cut the guy. I mean, I mean, and they saved like $17 million in cap space, but still, like, you got to trade something for him. Get like a late pick or a player. I don't care what you do, but you can't cut a Hall of Fame player. I don't care who you are. So I thought that was, I thought that was terrible by the Seahawks.
I'm not smart. I can never be a GM and all the stuff that goes into it, but I will never, ever understand cutting a legend player. Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense to me. There's a market out there. There's something. You'll be able to get something for him. I've never understood that. All right, I want to jump in a little hoops talk. It's March Madness. I've already dropped the Virginia Tech. Just hit a buzzer beater to beat Clemson to save their season. If they'd have lost that game, they'd have been done. Iona, mid-major upset. Team who won their conference last year, Rick Pitino at head coach. They just lost in the opening round of their conference tournament.
To
Ryder. This is March, boys. So tomorrow, conference tournaments really heat up. All the big boys start playing tomorrow, and they'll be playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we'll get the bracket on Sunday. Hunter, I want to ask you first, what conference tournament are you looking forward to the most? Me personally is the Big East in Madison Square Garden with my man Gus Johnson on the call. It's going to be some absolute wars. So I don't want to get your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, I was torn between that and the Big Ten. I'm going to actually go Big Ten because there's a lot of individual talent. And obviously the teams in the Big Ten are very good, especially in the top half of the league. But it's like every team has a playmaker. And so I think you're going to get to see some classic March performances in the Big Ten tournament. You got guys like, Johnny Davis at Wisconsin, Keegan Murray in Iowa, who's my favorite player to watch in the country. Really obviously, Kofi Coburn at Illinois is a man amongst men. Like he's ginormous compared to everybody else. And he's not the most skilled guy in the world. He's just kind of like a bull in a china cabinet, but he's so effective. He is so effective. And I mean, you got so many guys in the Big Ten who could carry the team all the way through the tournament and have one of those, runs individually that we'll still be talking about 5 or 10 years down the road. So I think that's going to be a good tournament to keep your eye on just for the sake of the individual runs you could see.
I changed my mind. I'm going Big East 1A, Big Ten 1B. Big Ten's going to be awesome. Yeah. You got Indiana, Michigan tomorrow. Yeah. 2 bubble teams in the opening round of today, second round of the tournament, not even the quarterfinals.
Yeah, do or die for them.
Do or die. And that's early in the tournament. Mm-hmm. Once it gets down to the Final Four, you're going to have Purdue, Ohio State, Michigan, whoever it is. It's going to be unreal, whoever's left in the tournament. They're going to go toe-to-toe.
Who do you think is going to win that conference?
Man, Purdue is the class, I think, of the conference, even though I've been kind of down on Purdue. I feel like they are the most talented team. I think Jaden Ivey's the best player in that conference, in my opinion. And they have a lot of size. For whatever reason, they weren't as dominant as they were supposed to be in that conference. I'm not going to pick Purdue. I'm going to take Illinois to repeat. I don't know why.
Terrible decision.
But I'm going to take Illinois. Kofi Coburn. I think if they can get Curbelo to play better and their guards to step up, I think they can. Illinois finished the season pretty solid. They kind of started to put things together. I think they can make a run and win that conference.
Curbelo started playing better. It's exactly like you were talking about.
I think they're going to go as far as Curbelo takes them. I think they need him to be the star he's supposed to be. And if he can step up, I think they can win that conference. They've got all the pieces. Guards just got to step up. I like their coach, SFA guy. What's his name? Underwood.
Yeah.
Underwood. You got Kofi, one of the best players in the country. They got some depth with some bench players. They can shoot it. That Plummer kid that we talked about the other day, he's got a honey stroke.
Sneaky good guard. Alfonso Plummer.
Not Will Plummer, Cud.
Yeah.
I told Cud the other day, I said, man, that Will Plummer kid can shoot it. Will Plummer was a QB for Arizona. Not Alfonso Plummer.
And that's like when Greg Paulus played point guard for Duke and then went to play quarterback at Syracuse. You never know. People switch sports.
That's true. The talent these kids have these days. Yeah, I want to get your take in this real quick. So the Zags might have locked up the number 1 seed. Do you think that's valid, or are they still the cream of the crop in the tournament? You're Gonzaga Bulldogs. No, you're very high on this club.
Dude, I still love them. Like I said, I was watching their game the other night versus St. Mary's, and like they got out 7-0 early. Like, granted, the game ended up being closer than I thought it would be. But Dude, I'm just watching Gonzaga. They're like a well-oiled machine. They just don't make a lot of just brain-dead errors, right? And they know where they're supposed to be. I think they're super well coached, and I think they're a really smart basketball team, and they know how to play with each other. So I think Gonzaga is the team to beat. Absolutely.
I think the Zags will be your 1 seed, but I still think it's wide open. I still think Arizona, Auburn, Kentucky.
I'm telling you, Auburn is out in the second round.
I know that you're taking. I want to save that. Yeah, I want to get to that in just a second.
So I get to talk about the conference I'm most looking forward to.
Okay, yeah, jump into that.
Big 12.
Big 12 will be good. Big 12 will be good. Already,
I think the Big 12 is going to be a bunch of titans going after each other. It's going to be fun to watch.
I think that Iowa State Texas Tech game will be sneaky good tomorrow night.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
And OU playing for their life tomorrow against your Bears, Hunters. That'll also be good. And you got TCU, Texas in the morning.
I'm worried about that one. And then I think if we can beat OU, I think we go out against Texas Tech. I don't think, and I would honestly prefer that. We're short on good players, and so that's what happened last year. We got beat in the conference semis last year. We were fresh, went on to win the Natty. I'm okay with doing that again this year.
Yeah. Did y'all really? I thought y'all won the Big 12 last year.
We won the regular season. We didn't win conference, the tournament.
So it was 2 losses.
Texas did. Texas won the Big 12
tournament,
baby.
And then you got beat by Abilene Christian in the tournament. They scored 50 points.
Texas 5. Texas 5.
Poverty Club, yay.
Oh, don't remind me. I threw a shoe in my wall.
So, Hunter, I want to get your take on this, and then I'll get our hot takes for the tournament, and then we'll close it up. So, Duke, biggest conversation in college basketball this weekend. Big, high and mighty Coach K.
Yeah.
Last game in Cameron Indoor at home as an 11-point favorite against North Carolina. They lose by 12 to a North Carolina team who's not been very good this year. Their tournament team, probably an 8, 9 seed. They got some pieces here and there, but they have not had a great year. It's not the North Carolina of the past. And Duke, it was a close game for a while. North Carolina kind of pulled away. I mean, the score looked a little bigger of a blowout than it was. And then Coach K has this huge ordeal after the game where he goes up there, hey, look at me. I'm Coach K. This is not acceptable. Was there even a ceremony for the seniors on that basketball team?
I don't think so.
About Coach K.
No.
That's a joke. That actually makes me really mad. It's not about you, Coach K. I know you want everything to be about you, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The seniors deserve their shout out. I don't care. I don't care if the guy hadn't played a second all year. It's senior night. I'm sure they had some little deal, but that's about the players.
Yeah.
Coach K's really got on my nerves the last couple of years. He's a massive, massive me guy. And I thought the whole show at the end of the game where he told the crowd to be quiet, this is unacceptable, that was just awful. So I don't want to get your take on Duke. Is Duke in trouble for one? And then your thoughts on the Coach K ordeal.
What do you mean by in trouble? I mean,
I thought, so I'll say this, at the beginning of the season when Duke beat Gonzaga, and they have the Paolo Banchero kid who's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have the Keels kid who's another 5-star. I thought Duke was the best team in the country. No doubt about it. Kind of fizzled out. They've lost some games in conference in an ACC that honestly could be the worst of the Power 6 conference in basketball. They really could be.
Yeah.
They have not really been battle tested. They've lost a couple games in that conference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a little worried about Duke. Not that I think if they lose, but I thought that was the best team in college basketball in December. And I don't think so.
So in a year where there aren't very many elite teams, I still don't think they're top class, if that makes sense.
I'd say they're fringe. Yeah. If you're going to go 8 teams, top class are right there.
They'll be a 2 seed.
I can't figure it out why. They do everything well.
They don't, I've mentioned this a couple times on this podcast about basketball teams, but they don't really have somebody who's just going to grab the game and say, I got it. Like, I'm taking over. We'll be all right.
Be that guy. He refuses to be that guy.
He can't do it. And it's real strange. Like you said, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because they do have all this talent. But I think you see that in the era of the one and done, you see teams with all this talent kind of at the end of the game, they look around like, what do we do? Who do I give the ball to? Do you want it? Because I've never been here before. What do you think we need to do? And
that's what happens when you have an 18-year-old kid leading your program. That's a tough
to be in. You know what's crazy? You were talking about Illinois, and you've brought up Trent Frazier several times. And that kid's not a great basketball player, but at the end of the game, they put the ball in his hands. He comes off the bench and they put the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
And
he's a veteran. He knows what to do in that spot. He's been around.
Exactly. And I don't know if Duke has that guy. And which you look back when they were really good, they had guys like Grayson Allen who were there for 4 years and who were good enough at ball to actually make an impact on the court and also to be a leader, somebody to look to kind of there at the end of the game. And here's a nugget about North Carolina. They didn't make one substitution in the second half of that game. Not one.
Wow.
They played the same 5 guys on the court for all 20 minutes. So I think that's kind of why Carolina has been so up and down, because they don't have any depth. So if one guy's off, they don't have somebody to sub in and just kind of, keep the water level up. They're either way up or way down, depending on what their main guys do. Brady Manick being the supreme of them all.
In Baycott. They're going to go as far as Manick and Baycott will take them.
Yep.
Those guys don't have much help.
And man, the tournament's not a good place to not have much depth.
No. And I want to say one thing. You brought up a good point about that's a really good point, actually, about a young guy who doesn't step up, and you go to your Trent Frazier, who's a senior, been there for 5 years. When's the last time a one and done team won March Madness? Can you think of one? It was probably Kentucky with Anthony Davis and all those guys.
They didn't win, did they?
Anthony Davis won. Yeah, that's like 2012. It's the only championship John Calipari's ever won.
Yeah. Okay, I must be getting his year confused.
You're thinking of the undefeated team, the Carl Anthony Town, that did not win.
Okay, yeah.
The Duke team that won it several years ago, they had a bunch of juniors and seniors.
Yeah, that was Grayson Allen.
There are the one and done teams fall apart in the tournament. It's because they're not used to it. It's a different ball game.
Yeah. And
Baylor won it with a bunch of seniors last year.
Yeah.
Gonzaga's got juniors and seniors everywhere. They're around in March. When North Carolina and Villanova won a few years ago, they had their seniors and Archie and Akido, however in the hell you say his last name.
Yeah. And if Nova had any depth this year, if they had any bench, they'd be deadly because they have so much experience and they do have a lot of talent on the perimeter to take the ball at the end of the game.
I think Nova has the best guards in the country. I really do. Gillespie and Samuel and those guys.
Justin Moore. Yeah.
Justin Moore. They're talented, but they have no bench, like you said. And that's why they haven't been to an elite status this year.
Yeah.
Because if any of those guys has an off night, they're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, so final segment of the pod. I want to get everyone's hot takes on March. On March Madness. We'll do another pod after the bracket's released, and then we'll really dive into it. But I want to get everyone's hot take for conference tournaments this weekend. And if you got one for March Madness, go ahead and throw that in there too. My hot take, Seton Hall is going to win the Big East this weekend. Seton Hall was, I want to say they were the preseason favorite. If not, they were second.
Yeah.
They've started to really put it together down the stretch. If they can get Bryce Aiken healthy, they got Jared Roden. They've got a lot of size. They got a lot of experience, and they got some bench play. I love their coach too. I'm taking Seton Hall to win the Big East this weekend. That's my hot take.
All right. My hot take is the Iowa Hawkeyes win the Big Ten.
Wow.
Great discipline.
That's a good one there.
Great discipline club. They should have beat Illinois the other night if that dude would have made a free throw. He missed 5 straight. 5. How does that happen? And they lose by, I think, 1 point. And that Perkins guy, he's playing great. They can shoot the perimeter, and they got bigs. The Iowa Hawkeyes win the Big Ten.
That's a take there. I like that cut. And Iowa, you're right. Iowa should be Illinois. They hadn't beaten that game. They've been playing really well. Keegan Murray, 100 touchdowns earlier. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's great.
Playing really well. And Iowa's another well-coached team. Big Ten's got some coaches. You talk about talent, Hunter. They got some good coaches in that conference too.
Yeah.
So, I want to get your hot take on this weekend for conference tournaments. And don't you dare say Texas is going to win the Big 12 championship.
You read my mind.
It's not going to happen.
No, I don't think it will. As much as I would love to say that Texas, I think, is going to just pull it together. I can't in my right mind believe that anymore. So, my hot take actually is I think Baylor will win the Big 12 championship, but I don't think they'll just win it. I think they're going to go on a tear like they did in the tournament last year. Baylor has ended the regular season really well, like really started playing good basketball again. And I think they're going to run through the Big 12 conference. I think every game is going to be 20, 15 to 25 deficit wins.
Oh, Hunter likes to hear that.
Well, I just
Doesn't
don't think
agree.
you're
I
right.
can see his eyes.
And the only reason I bring it back down to 15 is I think if they have to play Tech some way or another, I think that's going to be in like the 10 to 12 range. But I think everything else they could beat people by 20, and I think they will.
The problem is if the games were spread out, like a normal season where you play a game, you wait 3 days, you play another game. I think I'd agree with you. I think we're playing better than any team in the conference. However, we only have 6 players who are actual proper Division I basketball players, and we'd have to play 3 games, or we have to win 3 games 3 nights in a row to win the tournament, and you can't do that with 6 players. We got Dale Bonner, who's the 7th, and I mean the guy's filled in much better than we thought he would, but he's a class below everybody else on the rotation. And so I don't think with 6 guys we have any expectation of winning conference unless we get lucky. If Tech goes out, Kansas goes out, yeah, we can beat who would Tech lose? I can't even remember. Iowa State. We can beat Iowa State. We can beat Texas in the championship. Okay, that's fine. But it wouldn't break my heart if we had an early exit, tried to get LJ Cryer healthy. My goodness, we're going to need him in the tournament. Try to get him healthy and go into the tournament fresh. And I think we actually have a chance to repeat. You know what? Screw it. That's my hot take. Bears repeat. That's it.
Go. Buy into the Bears. Buy into the Bears.
That's it.
Like it.
Baylor's depth scares me, like you said.
Yeah.
Losing JTT hurts. Cryer not being healthy hurts.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what.
That scares me.
Jeremy Sohan, we were talking about freshman. That guy has stepped up. He can flat out play.
I like watching him a lot.
When Flo is on the bench, which is a glorious sight, then we run a small lineup with Sohan at the 5, and he holds his own down there. He's only like 6'9", but he's physical, even though he's not a big body. And JTT being out is not as worrisome to me as Cryer being out, because we only have 2 good guards. And Flagler, as much as I love him, he's a little inconsistent. And James Akinjo is not great. But yeah, like you said, JTT being out hurts. But if we could get Cryer healthy, I think we'll have a good shot. They're my pick. Screw it. I'm in.
Boys, it's going to be a fun weekend. A lot of good basketball.
This is March
of basketball coming up. This is March. We're going to see a lot of buzzer beaters, a lot of heartbreak. We just saw a half-court buzzer beater, Chattanooga and Furman.
Oh, that Chattanooga
game.
David Jean Baptiste.
Cool.
What a legend. Double teamed at half-court. I'll tell you what.
He's going to remember that forever.
One of my favorite things about March, and it's, again, I talk about it because I'm a nerd and a loser, is watching these mid-major championship games.
Yes.
Because these kids don't get to do that. They get probably 1 in every 4-year opportunity. Like Iona just going down in their conference tournament. Whoever plays in that championship they did not expect to be there.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing for a chance to get to the dance. They'll lose by 45 to a 1 seed in the first round. But it's cool, man. Especially watching these home teams like Bryant last night at home, clinching conference. And that's awesome, man.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know if anybody got to watch that game. There's a fella that plays for Bryant named Peter Kiss. I don't know who they're going to end up playing. They're probably going to be a 15 or 16 seed in the first round.
Probably. I think they'll be a 15.
I hope they don't get stuck in a play-in game. I hope they get a true shot at playing a 2 or a 1 seed. And Peter Kiss is going to put on a clinic. He's a number 1 scorer in all of college hoops. He's cocky. It's unbelievable. Whatever y'all are doing, whenever they are playing, cancel it. Clear your schedule. That is appointment television.
I honestly hope they get in a playing game, because then we'll get to see him twice.
That's true. That's true.
He'll get the shine. I think those 16 seeds like to play in a playing game. They know they got no shot against the 1 seed. Get an extra game. Then you get to add to your resume that we won a tournament game. You beat another 16 seed. Oh, all right, that's all we got this week. Anybody got any closing thoughts? Yeg, you're a clown. Derek Carter, number 5. You got to be kidding me. But all right, boys, love y'all. Enjoyed it. That's another episode of 903 Sports. We will see y'all for some bracket talk next week. Thanks, everybody.